Hello enthusiasts and welcome to Scaled Affairs, the show where I try to rationalize my purchases while trying to fight bias remorse by presenting you a review of various anime figures. So be my guest and welcome today's figure on the turntable. The angel from next door, Shiina Mahiru, in this scale figure interpretation by FuRyu. She comes to you in a window box that looks and feels totally old school. The design is minimalistic with two pictures of the figure on each side and this centered box of text without any further graphic elements on the back. The size is reasonable, but the cardboard could be a bit thicker. The inlay is a kitsch cloudy heaven that adds even more to the feeling that this could have been released in the mid-2000s as well. Inside the box you will find her embedded in a normal clamshell blister where the figure, the bright blue translucent base and her umbrella, broken down in shaft and canopy, are packed separately. It's a very normal way of storing and the only noteworthy detail here is that the blister has an actual face cutout so that you can better see inside. Unboxing and mounting your angel isn't really complicated. There are no fancy rods or anything, just normal plastic packs on each foot you press into the flat base. The only odd thing is that the handle of the umbrella is clearly designed to pass behind this train of hairs, while the instructions and all the promotional pictures advise you to somehow push it towards her face and let the metal part run outside. Not only would this put the plastic part under constant stress, in my opinion it also looks worse. The part where the metal handle is supposed to clip into Shiina's hair isn't really molded with great care, so it was kind of a pain to fiddle it in, and last but not least, the canopy sits very loosely on the stem. This isn't really a downside, but be aware of it when you tilt the figure so that it doesn't fall off. Okay, maybe mounting is a bit more complicated, but once everything is set up, this one really feels and looks like something from a long gone era of figurines. Simply yet elegant, without any tacky frills, and a very versatile accessory that is essential to the character. But before I elaborate any further, here are some of this figure's key specs. Once again, this was a pre-order purely because I instantly thought about a nice photo op when I saw this in-scale see-through umbrella that is so typical for rainy days in Japan. I really don't know why this design didn't catch on in the West. Most of our umbrellas are made out of black fabric and if you tilt it forward to shield you from the rain, you can't see a thing and might even run into things. But I digress. All I wanted to communicate is that I didn't watch the show or are familiar with the character, but for your personal amusement I will try to pronounce the full title of what I assume originated from a light novel. Otonari ni no Tenshi-sama ni itsu no manika dame nige ni saretaita ken. The main highlight of her, besides the umbrella, is without a doubt the black pantyhose that is made out of real fabric. Normally I'm a bit skeptic when it comes to real garment on figures, but in this case it completes the whole outfit very well. The rest of Shiina's clothes are normal plastic with a harmonic color scheme and good paint job. Since it's only a long-sleeved school uniform, it per design doesn't have many details, but this dark red ribbon and the gold-colored buttons are a nice touch. Another thing that catches the eye is definitely the long floaty hair that goes from a solid ochre on top to a translucent state on her tips. The individual strands are sculpted with attention to detail. They do feel a bit brittle though, and I would advise to take good care of them, especially the pointy parts. The hairstyle together with her facial expression that comes with a slight blush and flat colored eyes also give up this retro vibe. It strongly reminds me of the moe character design that was popular in like a decade ago. Last but not least, there is the umbrella that is its own separate piece, so maybe you can use it on other scale figures or smaller ball joint dolls as well. If we remove it from her hands, we get a better glance at her delicate grafted fingers, but since the gesture looks odd when empty-handed, I wouldn't advise displaying your angel without the umbrella. Would have been nice if FuRyu would have thrown in a pair of variant hands for more sunny days, but I guess this wasn't the plan. All things considered, this version of Mahiru Shiina is a solid standalone figure that, even if you aren't familiar with the source material, will fit great in a collection of other girls in school uniform. Her design and the whole presentation has this particular retro charm to it, but sadly for a very modern price. 18k yen for a relatively simple figure with a plain base might be a bit hard to stomach if you aren't a huge fan of this series. Next time a more budget-friendly addition to the collection. Until then, Thanks for watching, and hopefully we can see each other again in a new episode of Scale the Fairs when I once again take a closer look on anime figures of all sorts. Take care out there and keep having fun collecting.